of his species, and he spent like 100 years at this facility, and people could visit him and stuff. So they took Fern to that facility, and they've launched, I believe, 4 return expeditions to look for a mate since then. Haven't found any. You know, they never found any before I came there. They've never found any since. I'm not saying I'm the only reason, but there's certain tricks and tools.
We got to
and
send
things.
the Galante back.
I didn't say that. You did, but
I said it. We're doing it.
Yeah. So unfortunately, because they got upset about our finding and you know the sort of machismo around it, they haven't asked me to come back and look. But I'd happily go look for a male.
Do we know how old she is approximately?
Somebody did some kind of like isotopic analysis. I think she's around 70 or 80 years old.
And how long would that species be able to live? 150
about
years?
100. Yeah, maybe 100. A little over 100. Yeah, like maybe 110, something like that. She's healthy now, though. I think if we'd left her... So what's crazy is Fernandina Island, the island, is one of the most volcanic islands in the world. So there's lava flows constantly taking place. And when you have a little patch of like jungle, right? It's not really jungle, but like scrubland and bush and trees and stuff. Then all of a sudden a lava flow comes down. It just blankets that, kills everything there, and it's gone. And it doesn't exactly regrow through lava. So an island that used to be relatively green and have lots of patches of greenery, there's now like 2 patches of real greenery left. So it's a relatively confined area. There is another tortoise there. I saw tracks of it. I'm almost certain. It's just hopefully a matter of time till they find it.
But like a 70-year-old lady, she could have kids?
Yep. So unlike humans and other mammals, they can reproduce almost up until the day they die.
Oh, wow.
And they even have
no menopause.
Nope, no menopause. And they even have spermal retention. So if she had mated with a male 5 years ago, she could have hung on to that sperm in her system and then laid eggs 5 years later.
Oh, thank God humans don't have that. Holy shit.
I know, right? Think how many kids you'd have.
So I'm getting goosebumps now for the wrong reason. That's also pretty cool, though, that you found this one in the cradle of the evolutionary,
Our
invention itself in the Galapagos Islands. That's a place I've never been. My parents went, I think, like 30 years ago. But I mean, that's got to be unlike anything else on Earth, no?
That was my favorite discovery or find ever. We found 4 shark species, a primate species, a caiman, which is like a crocodilian.
Oh, yeah. I went to the Amazon.
Yeah, you know, of course you do. Yeah. But that specific one, finding that animal that was that rare, to me, that was the most incredible. In like you said, the cradle of our understanding of evolution. Yeah. It was such a cool thing.
Yeah. Where did you find the caiman again?
The Rio Epiporus area of Colombia.
Okay. That's not touching the Amazon, right?
It does, but much further down than where I was. Okay. Yeah. It is Amazonian, though. It is Amazonian there. Yeah, but doesn't touch the Amazon River. We were on a river called the Rio Epiporus River.
Okay, got it. Yeah, the whole trail cam thing and like tracking species is like the coolest thing to me. I was down there with our mutual friend, Paul Rosalie. So obviously he does a lot of the same stuff. He has trail cams everywhere, also trying to find species that we may have never even heard of.
Yes.
In the Amazon.
And he's very likely to do so.
Yeah, I remember we were looking at some shots they had that are like hard to see because they were close but not quite close enough, and he's like, that's not a jaguar, or that's not a such and such.
Something different.
So what the fuck is that? Which is really cool. But we got to go out and actually lay a few new trail cams and like see the strategy of what it is. And we didn't even do any of the more complex stuff you were talking about, like dragging a dead carcass or stuff like that. But it's really wild that we can actually use this technology now to be able to just put it there laying in wait, and you're going to get animals who are just in their regular ecosystem coming by, and they're not suspecting anything. It's not just like a human sitting there or something like that. It's an amazing development. And
it's evolving at such an incredible rate. I was just working with a woman 2 weeks ago in Texas, and she's using drone surveys at day and night. So nighttime they use thermal ones, and day they use camera ones to film elephant herds. And then they take all the data of the elephants, and it's incredible. It looks like something out of Iron Man. They take all these like points on the elephants' heads. And if the elephant moves its head to the left, it's telling these 2 animals to go this way, but this one to stay there. If it moves its, I'm making up the actual analysis, but it's like it takes all these shots, composes them into a database, then AI runs all these analyses on it and goes, Yeah. If the elephant moves left twice, nods left twice, it means be careful, there's something in the bush over there.
Oh my
God. And it's literally decoding the way, like, it can take a herd of elephants, go, that one's the matriarch, that one's the beta, that one's the omega, these two are the babies, this one's this one's telling that one this one's saying go over here, this one's pointing to water this way. And like, it's breaking down language that we as a human observer can watch elephants our whole life and go, yeah, I think that one's leading them that way. But this is like, no, he's actually saying there's water here and watch out for that bush. It's like decoding the way they're communicating. And like AI's garbage still. We're at the tip of the iceberg for what that's going to be in 10 years.
We've been able to actually interact with publicly.
Yeah.
Who knows what they got privately.
True. Yeah. But the technology and the data is far surpassing me dragging dead animals around in the bush. But I think one thing that we can never forget from a wildlife science standpoint, and this is something that's gone away and part of that book I'm writing, your gut instinct is so important. And science denies that. Like feverishly denies that you should listen to your gut instinct. Like field science.
It goes against human nature.
It goes against human nature, but they're like, follow a protocol, create a grid. So like if you're doing a camera trap survey for an animal the scientific way, you build a grid. Okay, every 100 feet, 500 feet, you put a camera here. 300 feet this way, you put a camera and you do a grid in a square. Why? I'm a human being. I'm a biological creature. I can look at an area and go, that's a game trail. That's where the animals will walk. There's water here. I know that they need water. They're going to go to water. There's a food source here. See that beehive right there? We know that this animal eats honey. Okay, I'm going to put 3 cameras here, 1 here, and 5 here. Not a square grid. Like that, yes, you might cover more ground in your square grid, but use a combination of understanding and not just methodology. Because just methodology is stupid.
Yeah, you answered my question for me. I was going to ask you, like, there's got to be room for both. Like, I'm feeling it could go there, but also, like, scientifically, we got to cover X amount of space to get something realistic data.
Right. But you got to rely on that instinct. Yeah. Like, when we went to that bush, that area, that was pure instinct. It went against what I was being told, which is go up to the top where it's a little bit wetter and there's a little bit more greenery, check the high elevation. I just looked at a map and went, trees there.
Yep.
That's my instinct and brain going, let's go to where there's trees. If I was a tortoise, I'd want to be where there's trees.
Yeah.
That's it.
You have because you grew up among it as well, it's just second nature for you. You have that gene that you see when you go to some of these places, like when I met some of Paul's guys in the Amazon jungle who had lived there their whole life, where like they'd hear a bird 2 miles away and they'd almost be able to talk back to it. It's not, they didn't have to sit there and Google this stuff or read a book about it. Like, obviously you've educated yourself over the years on a lot of different things, but like you were in it. You grew up among it. You can, like, not to be too meta here, but you can feel it.
Yes, 100%.
In ways that, I can't, anyone else listening pretty much can't.
Right, but you sitting here can tell when something's off with the audio in your podcast.
Exactly.
Or, I'm not in your space, but, like, it's just different. It's whatever you train yourself to have instinct in. You know right now whether this is a good conversation for your show or not a great conversation
it's
for your
great,
show.
By the way.
That's good. I'm glad to hear that. But you know that because this is what you're trained in.
Yeah.
The average person does not know that.
Sure.
Just like not like Paul's guys, because I don't know the Amazon like they do, but I know big picture. If I work here, I'm more likely to find the animal, or and it's same if you're an investment banker, like this is the stocks we should trade in. Trust me, I got a feeling, it's just human instinct is an incredible tool.
It's just cool when it overlaps with nature. I think that's like the coolest of all.
I agree.
Real fast, Forrest. I just got to run to the bathroom, but we'll be right back. All right, we're back. So you and I were just saying this off camera, but by the way, alluding to it, so we might as well go into it. But you are an advisor for Colossal.
Yeah.
Who I had Ben and Matt James in here together a few months ago. Fascinating stuff. We're going to have, I know, at least Matt coming back.
Good.
I think in the fall. I was talking to him. He was here for like 2 days in July, so we couldn't make it work. But he's going to come back because there was still so much more to go there. But we're getting into weird territory here.
For sure. Yeah. Colossal's weird. I mean, what they're doing is weird, but it's cool.
What made you want to be on it as an advisor?
Well, I found out about it very early on, like because everything I've done, like what we've been talking about, is in this, not everything, but a lot of it is in the space of looking for extinct animals, right? And Colossal is literally a de-extinction company. So Ben and Matt together, they reached out to me, and Matt's become a very good friend, but they reached out to me together. They both are really, but they both reached out to me very early on when there was probably 25 people like brainstorming and working at Colossal, and just said, hey, you know, with you being this kind of figure in finding extinct species, would you be willing to be a part of what we're doing? And I had my reservations, like I think anybody does when you hear about what they're doing. And I was like, is this real? Is this some Theranos thing? Like, what is this? And well, you know, it sounds crazy. Like now they've proven themselves, but at first it sounded crazy.
Yeah.
And we just had a few conversations, and I just said, I'd love to be an advisor. You know, I'd love to help you if you do make woolly mammoths and dodos and thylacine and all these things. I'd love to help come up with the plans as to what to do with them from a conservation standpoint so that it's impactful and has big purpose to the planet. And something that I don't know if they talked about on your show or not, but they also do a lot of good conservation work.
That was the key for me, and that's what I want to continue to see moving forward, because and we can get into the nitty-gritty with this because you've been involved for a while, but if in fact trying to make a woolly mammoth and the work you're doing on just in gene sequencing before you even make a species can help solve the problem of, I forget what it's called, but like the elephant's herpes disease that kills 20% of... Right. If it can help solve something that kills 20% of all current elephants, and regardless of what we figure out or don't figure out with a woolly mammoth, that research legitimately is able to do that and help, you know, such a magnificent creature in conservation right now, then to me, there's something that's very worth it there.
That's it. I mean, a good example is, you know, the direwolf news, right? You saw that, that all came out. Big, loud, splashy news, controversy, everything else. That's great. And I think it's really interesting. It's interesting proof of concept, whatever. Direwolves aren't going back into the wild. But the thing that didn't make the news that should have is the same technology they used for that, they used to clone red wolf. North American red wolf. And it sounds like you guys talked about it, so I won't go into detail, but like...
No, please do, because people got to hear this who haven't heard that
episode.
Sure.
Well, just long story short, North American red wolf's the most critically endangered wolf species on planet Earth. And Colossal used the same technology, or some version of it, that they used to make the direwolf to clone red wolf. So no matter what happens now, we'll never lose red wolves as long as that company exists. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does make sense.
That's a huge win.
It sounds like it's a huge win. The question that I still have on any of this, and I don't know, like, you know, people like to point fingers at this stuff because you're working on something so new and it's controversial or whatever, but like I want people working on things. Like I think it's cool to try to find something we haven't done before. That's how the human race moves forward. But like if you clone a red wolf, you're cloning its DNA, you're cloning its sequencing, so you're obviously cloning its looks, its features, all those things. But can you clone its evolution? Meaning, like, I'm going to make something up right now. This isn't real. But let's say red wolves could jump 30 feet because they, you know, over millions of years trained themselves in their environment to be able to jump 30 feet away from a fucking bison that was chasing them or something. Can you really clone that trained behavior just by grabbing its DNA sequencing and saying, boom, we cloned?
My understanding of it, and I don't know because I'm not a geneticist. I told you I basically failed those classes in college. But my understanding of it is the hardware is the same, the software is different.
Yeah.
So we can make another Julian. Not me. They maybe can make another Julian. Are you going to be a podcast host who has the same knowledge and skills and personality that you do now? I don't think so because that's software, right? Yeah. So you could still jump as high as you can jump. You'll be the same height, same color hair, same eye color, but your software is completely it's just different. It's open to interpretation. That's my understanding of it.
So does that mean, like, again, you and I aren't the science experts here. So just looking at it from like, what is this rather than the software that goes into it? Does that mean that it's a new type of the same thing?
Oh, I see what you're saying.
Or
no,
the same
so
thing?
I think if you took that cloned red wolf and put it out with other red wolves, it would not stand out as any different. Does that make sense?
Yes.
It would just be another red wolf as part of it. Now, the dire wolves, they're genetically modified from gray wolf, blah, blah. That's different. And I think that was just a proof of concept. That's my understanding.
Yeah, what do you mean that's different, though?
Because there's no other dire wolves to put them out with. You've brought something back that wasn't there. You're starting from scratch, in a sense.
Yes.
Whereas cloning a red wolf is you could take that red wolf and put it out with the pack. It'll get accepted by the others. It'll learn the same behaviors. It'll hunt the same way, howl the same way, den the same way, pup the same way. It'll be a red wolf.
Because they exist right now, and we're working with things that actually we can quite literally copy and paste.
That's right. And to me, a very good example of that is the northern white rhino. There's only 2 females left of that species in the world. If Colossal and I think Biorescue, and I think there's a third partner, but forgive me if I'm getting them wrong, are working to clone that, if they can clone a male and they can use their crazy genetic engineering stuff to add diversity to the species, the genetic diversity, they can save that species. To me, I'm getting the goosebumps again because that is the technology. That is what the technology is for. The fact that human beings have fucked up so badly. Do you care if I swear? Just making sure.
You're in New Jersey, bro. You say whatever the fuck you want.
Human beings have fucked up the northern white rhino so badly, poaching them for literally fingernail keratin.
Yes.
That's what rhino horn is.
Yeah.
That now in can come Colossal and Ben and Matt and all these guys with their big brains and their crazy technology, and they can go, hey, wait a minute, before we lose this incredible thing, these 2 northern white rhinos, give us some blood, some hair, some tusks, some whatever, some fingernails, and I'm going to make a male, and then we can put that male back in, and I'm going to make a female and put that female back in, and in 10 years, we can have 150 of these rhinos. That's what it's all about. It's we're righting humanity's wrongs, the crimes we've committed against animals. It's not to stop. Extinction's a natural thing. We don't want to stop extinction. You don't want to stop it. What you want to do is stop what human beings have done at speeding it up.
Yes.
And where it doesn't make sense. Human caused extinction because we wanted a skyscraper where this frog lives or, whatever it happens to be. We just want to mitigate that. And if that technology can be used for that, I think it's the most wonderful technology.
So you're in support of continued nature survival of the fittest. You just want to solve for 8 billion people in the world.
That's it. There's a perfect way to put it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Got it. Now, going back to the dire wolf example, though, and let's even talk about the woolly mammoth, which is one they're trying to bring back. Mm-hmm. In this case, you are bringing back something where it hasn't existed in thousands of years. We don't have, the active DNA to be able to do it. So you're sequencing what you can to create it. Do you think that there are potential downsides to trying to do something like that? Obviously, we can look at the conservation of current species that it can help with, but do you think there's a downside to creating a woolly mammoth or creating a dire wolf and putting it out into the wild when it's not evolved from there?
100%. There are going to be unintended consequences, just like there are unintended consequences with AI or any new technology. When we got cell phones, now we're all addicted to cell phones and we all hunch over staring at our cell phones. It still allowed the whole world to communicate. Yeah. Right. Same with the internet. Now everybody's addicted to porn. These things come up, and there are things that you weren't accounting for. That happen. I don't know what that will be, but what I do know, at least from my experiences with Colossal, they're anticipating that there will be those consequences, and it's not like okay, we made 100 mammoths, let's put them out in Alaska, see how it goes. It's not like that. It's very controlled. That's why there's a board of advisors like myself, scientific, conservation, everything else.
You guys got a lot of advisors on
a lot,
company.
A lot. It's grown. When I became an advisor, I think there were 6 of us advisors.
Yeah, now there's 6,000.
I know, it's crazy, but that's a good thing. There are these summits, everybody talks, everybody has a place to talk. But the point is, let's use a woolly mammoth as an example. I don't know that this is what Colossal is doing. I don't work with them day to day, but if they bring back 1 or 5, and they put it in a controlled environment and they study what's happening in this control, okay, now we can expand it from 10 acres to 100 acres. Okay, now we can expand it from 100 acres to 1,000 acres. It's got to be a very slow rollout. And that's, I hope, how we learn how to mitigate the bigger problems that it could cause. I hope.
Yeah, and the people have seen the movies, right?
Oh, of course.
So we see where the one guy goes crazy, he goes, "Let's do it with humans."
That's
or
right.
Something like that, and you're like, "All right,
put them on an island."
Yeah. We gotta chill a little bit here. But maybe in our lifetime, I don't know if this is the case or if this is what you think, but within our lifetime, do you think we could have something like a private island? I don't want to go too far, but like a Jurassic Park kind of thing where we've created things that they're recreations, but you could at least see how it might behave in the environment.
I think it's awesome. The little kid in me, if you could tell me I could go to Pleistocene Park and see woolly mammoths and giant bison and all these Ice Age animals, or, go to Jurassic Park, of course I want to see that. Do I know if that's what they're going to do or if that's a good thing for the environment or anything else? No, probably not, but the little kid in me goes, I can go to these places and see these things. Like, it would be insane to see. Yeah. I don't think the technology is there yet.
No,
maybe it will be.
It's not.
And I'm sure Matt and Ben explained that to you.
Yeah.
But I don't think we can make T-Rexes and Titanoboas. I don't think the DNA is too fragmented, blah, 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 blah. And I just don't think that that's what Colossal stands for. I think it stands for trying to put a Band-Aid on the problem and right humanity's wrongs.
Yeah, and I hope that's what they continue to do, because that was the bulk of our conversation. Was, I would say, a piece of it. This was episode 297 for people who didn't see it, but there was a piece of it that was, certainly discussing like the scientific implications. Like, can you actually recreate this? What does it mean if you recreate it? What does a clone look like? Some of the stuff you and I just talked about, but a lot of it had to do with how the science can be used on current species. Like, we obviously talked a lot about the middle of the sixth extinction we're in. The numbers, by the way,
it's crazy,
of like animals that are being declared extinct right now. It's like north of 50%.
Isn't it terrible?
It's fucking insane, man.
It's crazy. And that's why somebody's doing. And what I think so great about Colossal is like, there's this idea. I don't mean to interrupt you, but like,
not at all.
There's been this idea that like, if you're a biologist, if you dedicate yourself to conservation, you have to be poor, you have to struggle, you have to give up everything to dedicate your life to saving the planet. Well, if you become a doctor, you know you're going to be rich.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, if you're like, I'm going to go to medical school and be a doctor, it's like, I'm going to get rich and I'm going to save people's lives.
Yeah.
Like, Colossal to me, and this is like a weird perspective, but they're a for-profit company.
Yes.
They've come along and been like, we can save the planet and get rich doing it. And it's like, why is that a bad thing? Like, good for you.
Yeah.
Who cares? I'm not getting rich. Like, by me saying this, I'm not getting rich. I'm just an advisor. But like, good for you. Like, flip the conservation model on its head. Like, conservation is a battle that we've been losing since its inception. We lose more and more species every single year. The numbers are astounding, like you just pointed out. These guys are like, we're going to try something different.
Yeah.
We're going to break the mold. We're going to make money off of saving species, like do some good for the world and make $1 billion company. It's like, great. Like, why not try it? Because the other stuff's not working.
That was probably like one of the funnier moments where Ben, I think he was talking, it was his first conversation with Matt when they were back talking about Matt being an advisor and obviously then eventually coming on.
Yeah.
But Matt's whole life had been in conservation and specifically a lot of work with elephants. And so his big thing talking with Ben was like, look, if you're going to do this, like we need help in the conservation. Here's all the statistics with elephants. Here's the problems we're having. And Ben was just like, so how much would you need to really make a big dent in this?
Yeah.
And Matt goes, fuck it. $50 million would really do something. And Ben goes, I'm a business guy.
Yeah.
I've built a lot of companies. Yeah. I'm a billionaire. He didn't say that, but he is.
But he is, yeah.
I just looked at him. I said, oh.
Well, that's not much, yeah.
So you need 50. I'll just go get $50 million.
Yeah. But to a wildlife guy like me or Matt, you're like, I'm sorry, what? Yeah.
It's like, so we'll just go make that. Yeah. No problem. I'm like, I need you to come do that here too. How do you just say, I'm going to go make $50 million? Maybe I wouldn't have the studio in the master bedroom if that were the case.
Dude, it's so crazy. Yeah, the world is changing. That dynamic is changing. And it's the fact that you can fix the elephant problem for $50 million, and to some guys, that's their boat that they see twice a year. It's like, and I love that Ben, who's I think is a really interesting guy, is just like, yeah, okay, let's do that. It's like, fuck yeah, let's do that. Like, why not, man?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, Ben hooked me up with Ken Lacavara.
Yeah,
to
Ken's
come in
cool.
here.
He lives here. No, Jersey, right?
Yeah. So what's crazy is I was telling you the first 3.5 years I did this, I was in my parents' house in South Jersey, which is where I'm from.
Yeah.
Had no idea this was in my backyard, what he's doing.
The bone hub of the whole world. Yeah.
In Mantua, fucking New Jersey.
Underneath a Home Depot.
literally underneath a Home Depot. Like the most insane thing ever. But I love that podcast we recorded. It's coming out really soon at the time of us recording this.
Nice.
The dinosaur thing is just like the little kid in me loves that because it's just like the coolest thing ever. But how much time have you spent, like trying to find dinosaurs or, obviously they're gone, but
they're
trying
gone.
to unearth what they were?
Not a lot. I'm not an archaeologist. Or paleontologist. I haven't put a lot of time into digging that stuff up. I know Ken from the Explorers Club.
Yeah.
And I think Ken is awesome. He's such a cool guy. Cool. And have you been to his place yet?
We're going to do it because my parents still live down there. So we're going to do like a private tour.
I'll swing over because he's invited me too. He's like, come over.
We got to do that. Now that's going to be a crew now.
Dude, I'm down. Yeah. Because I think what Ken's doing is so cool. But no, I mean, there's some like crazy, like I've spoken to Joe Rogan about stuff like this. Like, these Mokola Membe, which is like this dinosaur of the Congo. And there's like these rumors and things that float around out there. I've put no effort into looking for living dinosaurs. I've done some diving in the black waters of Florida to pull up fossils and shark teeth and stuff like that. But there are dinosaurs among us, and this sounds cliche, but
birds.
Like chickens are basically T-Rexes, like crocodiles have been around as long as dinosaurs. Sharks have been on this planet since before trees were here. Like I find those things fascinating enough. And my interest really is in being hands-on with living stuff. So dinosaurs for me, my son absolutely loves them, and I'm now getting into them again with him. But like, I like the tangible stuff. Like I want to hold the tortoise, not just look at the bones.
I feel you there.
Yeah.
What was the story with the dinosaur in the Congo?
I think it's called
dinosaur?
I think it's called. You could look it up if you want. Mokola Membe or something like that, and it's this. Good luck with your spelling there. It's this rumor.
I almost got it.
Did you?
100% right.
Nice,
I missed
dude.
one letter. Yeah.
Nice. So what does it say here? A legendary creature reported to inhabit the Congo River Basin, described as a large sauropod-like dinosaur.
The name. Oh, you know what? Ken talked about this with me.
Oh, did he?
Yeah.
What did he say? What was his thought?
Can't remember. Dude, we went through fucking 1,000 dinosaurs. That was one of the coolest podcasts ever.
And that's the problem is Ken talks to you about dinosaurs probably the same way I do about animals. Like everybody knows 1,000 dinosaurs. And I can name like 6. But allegedly in the Congo,
I think he's found like 6 himself.
Oh, I know. It's crazy, including the largest one in existence.
Yeah.
So this Mokola Membe is this rumored to be extant dinosaur living in the Congo. And it's rumored because it's been reported by like hundreds and hundreds of people. Like they've all seen it, allegedly.
Like still living.
Yeah. Allegedly. I mean, I don't.
Can you imagine you're just walking through the jungle and this fucking thing walks up?
No, not really. I'd lose my shit. Like if I got that excited about a tortoise, imagine if I saw this thing.
We're in the simulation if that's happening.
Dude, seriously, there's a glitch.
Yeah, he was telling me a lot about like the lost dinosaurs in Egypt.
Oh,
I'm like, more shit in Egypt? What else happened there?
Well,
you know what I mean?
Yeah, totally.
But he's been all over. It's so cool.
I'm coming around on Egypt just being a complete alien experiment place.
Bro, you are not crazy to think that at all.
It's just everything there that comes out. You're just like, oh, now there's pillars going down 10,000 feet into wells. And you're like, wait, what?
It's like, it's in the core of the earth. Like, what else is there?
Yeah,
I don't know,
totally.
And all these guys, who study it inside and out, they got all these different theories and stuff. I'm like, it all sounds great.
Right. Just put it all together.
Yeah, just maybe there's some truth like in the middle of all of it.
Totally.
I'm a podcaster, bro. I'm not going to figure it out. But what's the environment in Congo? I might be mixing this up, but I remember way back when the first podcast I did with Paul, number 124, a few years ago.
I like how you remember all the numbers off the top of your head. That's pretty impressive, memory. Dude.
Thanks, man. But he was telling me about how when the continents were obviously like shaped differently and closer together, originally the rainforest that is the Amazon jungle emanated, I think, from Congo. Maybe I fucked that up, but the Congolese rainforest. And so now there's even like I forget the term for it, but you can run the tape on it. I think he talked about this like 2 hours and something into that podcast. But there's like a wind that comes off of the African continent emanating from Congo that still goes across the Atlantic over time and makes its way into the Amazon. Do you know what I'm talking about there?
I don't know about the wind.
I hope I didn't make that up. I'm sorry.
I don't know about the wind, but if you look at, South America and Africa, during Pangea, they fit together like this.
Yes.
And then they broke off.
That's right.
Right? Yeah. And so what you have is creatures on both sides that evolved convergently. So called convergent evolution, meaning like, why does a dog here look like a dog here, even though they're not related? Well, it's because they both occupied the same niches in the environment. So they had to have 4 legs. They had to have a bushy tail. They had to have big canines, whatever it happens to be. And then you get the variation. Like, well, this one's a gray wolf or a white wolf because it lives in the Arctic and has a big shaggy coat. Well, this one's a sleek little North American red wolf because it lived in the Florida Everglades, and they're like the same thing, but different, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean all those animals at one point in time stemmed off from the same root.
And then it's like the simulation playing out in front of you. It's so crazy.
Yeah, it's like The Sims or something.
Yeah.
Like, and it's funny because now with all the stuff we were talking about earlier with AI and stuff, we can sort of predict with a not very good degree of certainty, but predict what is it going to be like in another several million years if we don't, wipe ourselves out. Like what animals are going to be, for a point in time, insects were the biggest thing. Then it was reptiles. Now it's mammals. What's coming next? Is it going to be giant birds? Are we going to have rats that turn into everything because we take over the planet? And, I've seen the rats here in New York. Like they're huge.
They're fucking no joke.
Dude, they're like bigger than my dog.
Yeah. You ever see how they catch them in New York now?
How do they do it?
There was a Vice documentary on this a few years back. You can watch it, but like they have like rat hunting dogs
that run them down.
So they send them out at night. They go just like
tear
rip them the fuck up.
Good. That's good. Yeah, there's too many rats and they spread disease.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just crazy. It's like we think we live in this here and now that is the way that things are and have always been, but the planet was so different. I mean, even human civilization was so different 100 years ago.
Oh, it's insane.
Imagine what it's going to be like in a million years.
Yeah, and it gets weird though, like you're saying, when you can actually like kind of use something like AI that's like a weed growing on itself and just like expanding into its own brush and forest to predict these things ahead of time and then be able to like, I can't even conceive it because we don't even know where it goes yet, but then maybe be able to create it digitally, but also real. Like, you know what I mean? It gets very bizarre, but hopefully, as with all technology that we do throughout mankind, it's used for really good things like this and where it can actually help species or something like that. We do that.
I hope so. Yeah, as long as we maintain good diversity on the planet.
Yes.
Like because things collapse when we lose diversity. That's when systems collapse, So an environmental system will collapse when you need a bug that feeds a fish, that feeds a bird, that, you know what I mean, that the bird dies and that creates soil, that creates plants, you know what I mean? It's like you need diversity, you need complexity. As soon as we eliminate that too far so that there's only one kind of bug, only one rat, only whatever it happens to be,
you're fucked.
That's when we're fucked. That's when we have system collapse.
Yeah, I mean, but it's even like, sometimes it's something simple where you just look at, you take one species and look at the environment and go, yo, we'd have a problem. People have talked in the past, I'm not the guy to ask on this, maybe you would be, but like if bees went extinct, we'd all be fucked. Like
I've heard that one. Yeah, I've heard that because bees are our biggest pollinators and they create all the crops and the food and everything.
They carry stuff. They have like the things drop from them along the way. So all these biospheres around the world, they're basically like responsible for the seed that creates it.
And bees are massively declined. Like they're at like 70% decline since humans started farming or something like that. Yeah. So it's not a good, there's all these things, man. I always describe it like the world is like a big game of Jenga, and it's like,
cool.
Well, you pull the first few tiles out and you're like, this tower's great, man. This thing's going to stay stable forever. And then, you remove the bees, you remove the clean water, you take away the swamps, whatever it happens to be. And the tower gets pretty wobbly. And I hate the doom and gloom thing. I don't think the tower's that wobbly yet. This is purely anecdotal. I don't think we're about to collapse the tower. But if we do keep pulling those tiles out, if we run out of bees, we kill all the sharks, we cut down all the Amazon, The tower will collapse eventually.
That's what I'm saying. There's a exponential point in the other direction and no return. This is what I've talked with Paul about for years because he's been yelling out about it. It's like you look at just the Amazon jungle, for example.
Yeah.
You're talking about 20% of the global supply of oxygen for the world on a piece of land that's a lot less than 20% of the world.
And we're burning it down.
We're burning it down. And it's like Paul can't sit here and say, once we have depleted 37% of the Amazon, it's the point of no return. We don't know exactly where that point is.
Right. It's a sliding scale.
It's a sliding scale, but there is a point to which the slippery slope no longer has the physics to be able to get back up to the top if you want to.
That's right.
Right?
Yeah.
So there's things that I feel like, especially with tools like the internet now over the last 15 years specifically, being able to connect all of us, there's things that like as a human species altogether, we should be able to at least on a generalized level come behind and be like, all right, well, that would be very bad, right?
Yeah.
We fight it, we make everything political, we fight over this bullshit and that bullshit. But like, if you could be able to just educate people and say, hey, you know, if we lost the Amazon, here's legitimately what happens. So therefore, if everyone could just do this, we won't lose it. Then, you know, it's a small thing, but it can make a huge difference over the long term.
It seems like it, but the problem is our nature, your nature, my nature. I mean, even on a granular level, we are reactive and not proactive.
Yeah.
If my car is not going to break down, I'm going to keep driving it.
That's right.
You know, and only when my car breaks down, I'm like, oh shit, I got to get to the mechanic. You know, I don't just take my car in to get checked. I mean, yeah, you take it in for services, but like you don't just take it to get checked when you hear a weird noise. You know what I mean? And that is just human nature. Like we as a species are reactive. We're not proactive. And that's why, and I'm not saying Paul's falling on deaf ears. I love Paul. I think his mission is so pure and great. But like he probably, I know this from talking to him. He feels like sometimes he's preaching to a deaf audience.
Absolutely.
He's like, stop before it's too late. And people are like, we'll deal with it when it's too late.
That's right.
Yeah.
100%. That's what I've been talking about with him since day one, you know, and it's like, God bless the guys like that who are out there like living it and at least trying. You know,
and he is making a difference. Let's be clear. Like he's raised a bunch of money. He's protected a giant chunk of land.
Over 100,000 acres now.
Yeah. I mean, he's an awesome dude and his mission is true. And anybody listening to this, I just say go support Paul. Please do, like wholeheartedly, because he's awesome. But I know that he feels like he's preaching to a deaf audience a lot.
Have you been down there with him yet?
No, we've been talking about it for about a year now. So I need to find the time. I travel so much for work and shoots and shows and YouTube, and I need to prioritize going to stay with him for a week.
Yeah, I think like being in it with him. I mean, you like to be detached and out there doing the shit. Like he's on the same page. It's so, that was definitely a life-changing experience for me to be out there.
Tell me a little bit about, and if you've talked about it too many times on air.
No, I haven't talked about it in a while.
Tell me about it, because like I've heard Paul's take on it. He's like, come stay with me. Here's what we'll do. Yeah. But as a guy from Jersey, like, tell me what was it like going down there?
It was, so I hadn't, at the time, I went down May 2024. Mm-hmm. I had been doing this podcast 7 days a week since March 13th, 2020 and never taken time off. Holy crap. I was like, all right, this was over 4 years in. I'm like, I want to go down, not turn on a fucking phone, and just be in it for a while. Like, I grew up with a huge animal guy. I love nature. Like, that's certainly a side of me. So I'm like, this is the coolest thing. Like, the 5-year-old me is pumped to do this. And obviously, I'd known Paul for a couple of years. It'd been nice to see him grow. So I wanted to go see for myself all the things he always told me about. But you go down there, and it's really hard to describe. It's not like this emotional, like, oh my God. It's more like, whoa, I'm so insignificant. Yeah. This is like, I'm living in, at the time, 2024. You know, I'm coming from this place right here that we see on the wall. And I'm going down here to where you are just this little speck in the middle of this just thing that grows on top of itself. Exactly. But what really struck me is how safe you feel out there. Right. And I don't mean that as like to be like the assholes, like nothing's going to happen. I mean, there's shit that can kill you out there for sure. Yeah. But you feel all the animals, if you're not fucking with them, they don't want to fuck with you. Yeah. You know what I mean? You are your own little thing. And the river we were on, obviously he's in Peru towards the Brazilian border. Really beautiful area. And to see how he lives, there's a lot of people, and I'm sure you've seen this over the years and people you've come across. There's a lot of people who say they do things or say they're about this life or it's really like this. And then you see it and you're like, no, you're not.
Right.
You're living in like an Airbnb.
Yeah, totally.
But I got to Paul's place and he lives about 200 yards back away from the research station into the jungle in a spot with no running water on a wood floor to where the way I describe it is like, how in college when you were fucking, you'd put a sock on the door.
Sure.
Or whatever.
Sure. Don't disturb me.
Yeah. So he has to put like a 20-foot industrial towel over like the outside fence to make sure that it's actually enclosed in when he's fucking. And it's just like you see how legit it's been for, at this point, it's right at about 20 years being down there most of the time, most of the year. And I had an even greater appreciation for just how about that life, quote unquote, he is.
He lives and breathes it. There's no doubt about it. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, literally, like I'll be on a Zoom call with him, once in a while, and he'll be like, oh, I got to go. We're hiking into the jungle. Like, if you want to follow up, I'll be back in 3 days.
That's right.
Okay, bye, Paul. Like, don't die.
Yeah. I'm not going to tell the full story now because we'll be here for way too long. But I told it on my friend John Rondi's podcast after I got back. But Paul almost got us killed by leafcutter ants.
Oh, yeah.
Got by the Brazilian border. That was the second to last day there. And that was when I was like, I think I'm ready to go now.
You're like, okay, I've seen it.
This was my personal 9/11. We're gonna get past this. But he's just such a fucking. He's one of those guys that likes to touch the hot coffee just to see how long his fingers feel until they burn.
Well, you're preaching the choir over here,
I'm like, all right, dude. But you have spent a lot of time yourself in the Amazon previously.
Not nearly as much as Paul, but yes, I've done multiple 3 to 4 week long expeditions down there.
When was the first time you went?
First time I went for spring break as a junior in college. Yep, true story.
Who'd you go with?
My best friend from university, a guy named Nick, and our friend who was working as a researcher down there named Mike. And we got together. We went out of Cocos, Ecuador, up the Rio Coco. And then, just camped, lived out of the canoe, caught a 19.8 foot anaconda, which at the time, there's kind of a crazy, weird, ethereal story around that. But,
I mean, you got to tell it. That's why you're here.
Sure. Yeah. But, and we literally just a couple 18, 19-year-olds just spent 2 weeks in the Amazon, took a week off of school and did a week of spring break and then just stayed there. That was instead of going to Vegas or Havasu. Yeah.
You did it the right way, too. Yeah. You were living off the land.
Had to. We were so poor. I remember I found my headlamp that I see you've got one there, but I found my headlamp.
From the Amazon.
Nice. I found my headlamp that I took there. This is how poor I was at the time. It was one from Kmart that cost $12 that I probably couldn't see that wall. And that was what I used as light at the night looking for snakes. It was so crazy.
But you caught a 20-foot anaconda?
19.8 foot. And I've caught a lot since then.
In Jersey, that's 20 feet.
Yeah, I like that. Yeah. I've caught a lot since then, never caught one that big again, even including the huge one we caught for our Animal Planet research stuff, or Discovery, whatever it was. But it's a weird story. So we're 18, 19 years old. We go down, we get in this boat. We're with this local, I think he's Sani Indian is the name, the native tribe. So believe it's Sani Indian guy. His name's Fausto. And Fausto can barely speak a lick of English, but there's a boat driver who can. So there's just me, Mike, Nick, the boat driver, and Fausto. And we go up, and the first day he takes us to his home, and he's a native guy, so he has a home on the river that's 3 hours from Coco, and you sleep in his home, and you sleep on the floor, and his wife cooks you a meal, and you swim and catch piranha, and all the stuff I'm sure you did. It was epic.
I wasn't catching piranha, just to be clear.
No? Did you eat piranha, though?
I did eat piranha.
It's good, right?
Fucking fire.
Yeah. Not good after 20 days of eating boiled piranha, but for that first week, it's pretty good. Anyway, so we tell Fausto, we're all big nerds. We're like, we just want to catch a big anaconda. Now it's a thing, right? You've got Garrett Galvin and these kids chasing anacondas. But back then we were just weird kids who wanted to catch a big snake. And I'll be very clear about this. There was no research. There was no purpose, nothing. It was just I want to catch a big snake. And we tell Fausto and he's like, maybe I've seen a few big ones. We might get really lucky. Go on this whole trip. And we're 2 or 3 days from leaving. and this big thunderstorm, lightning storm hits. And so we're in like a hut or tents, whatever we were in that night, and we're sleeping and we're waiting for the rain to pass. And in the morning, Fausto comes up and he goes, today you will catch an anaconda. And we're like, wait, why, Fausto? And through the translator, he goes, last night I had a dream of a woman in a white dress. So that means today you will catch an anaconda. And we're like, okay Fausto. Yeah. And to this day, I don't know if he was like pulling our leg and had a spot or what, but it sure didn't seem like it. And so he told us he had this weird dream that he saw this woman in the white dress, and so we'd catch a big snake. Sure enough, literally 2 hours later, we pull the boat into this random patch of bank. We're going to go on this hike through a game trail. There's like an old abandoned like hut there. It's all fallen down and stuff from other, I think it's Sani, but Sani Indian native people. And get off the canoe, walked 10 feet, and I go this way and I start fiddling with a little tiny venomous snake this big called like a type of viper. And then my buddy Nick just goes, get the fuck over here right now. And we run around and there's a snake and its coil is as big as you to me, just coiled up. God. And we caught it, whatever. We took photos, measured it, blah, blah, blah. But the point is, it was just so weird because the likelihood of us catching a snake was infinitely small. Fausto said, like, you're probably not going to catch one. You know, they're very rare. We only see the big ones once in a while. This isn't like a predictable place like going into the Rio Bonito area where they see them and they dive with them and film them. And I've done that and it's incredible. We saw like 5. This is like raw jungle, like where Paul lives, where you have no idea what you're going to see on any given day. And then he comes in and goes, I had this dream. Something to do with the weather too, I don't remember, but he's like, I had this dream, and when you see lightning plus the woman in the white dress, I don't remember that part, I just remember the woman in the white dress part. It was today we'll catch a snake. And it was like, it was as if you had said, today we'll pick up a Starbucks latte. It's like, it wasn't like maybe, you know, it was like, yeah, we'll grab a coffee today, you know, and he was just 100% convinced, and 3 hours later we found one.
And it was pretty quick to be able to, because you found it coiled up, it was pretty quick to be able to actually like, get a
It was an old snake, really like sunken in eyes, like very old animal. And so my buddy Nick grabbed it by the head, and then we uncoiled it from his body as it tried to coil him, you know, because they try and wrap you up and stuff. Yeah. And it was probably a 8-minute fight or wrestle, if you will. And then the snake relaxed, and you still had to hold its head, but you didn't have to hold it tightly. And we could like look at it and appreciate it. And it was just, honestly, like, it's not good for me to even admit this, but it was just kids being kids. Like, we were 18 years old. We just wanted to catch big snakes. We'd saved up enough money to go visit our researcher buddy, and we just did it. And it was awesome. There was no purpose to it. It was just awesome.
Now, did you interact with any natives out there in the Amazon on any of your trips? I mean, obviously, you're being taken around by some, but like, did you visit not necessarily uncontacted tribes, because there's a reason they're uncontacted, but some of the tribes of the Amazon?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I mean, we were with the Sani people there, Fausto, and we met his wife and his kids, and we bumped into a couple others that were canoeing and fishing in the area. You know, we only saw like 3 people the whole time we were there, so it wasn't like we were out there. And then in the Rio Apaporis, we worked with former FARC rebels. So
FARC rebels?
Yeah, so the FARC controlled the Colombian Amazon and the cocaine and all of that, and fought the government for like 30 years there. Oh. And then they finally reached a truce, and we flew in on you might ask yourself why a World War II cargo plane used to fly in and out of the jungles of Colombia.
For nothing but sightseeing and tourism.
That's right, and had a lot of cargo hold for some very strange reason.
But that's what you got to do.
That's right, and we flew in and landed on this very well-manicured strip that happened to be near coca plantations for some weird reason.
Listen, it's a product that people need.
That's right, and it was interesting because on that one, we're going up the river with this guy, and then the boat driver, he goes, I was like talking to him, and in like broken Spanish and stuff. And I was like, so how are things here since like the truce and blah, blah, blah. It'd been like a 30-year ongoing war, basically. And he's like, oh yeah, really good. Like everything's calm now. Like people can visit. Like there's no conflict anymore. And I was like, cool. Do you know any FARC rebels? And he's like, well, yeah, I was FARC. I was like, oh, wow, that's cool. And then I go, so, I was like kind of joking, but I'm like, what would have happened if I'd come a year ago? He's like, I would have cut your head off. I was like, oh, right on. And I'm like, okay. And he was dead serious. He was just like, yeah, I would have cut your head off. Like, you couldn't have been here a year ago. I'm like, cool.
It's a whole different reality down there.
Yeah.
I mean, but that's the thing. Like, you go into some of these places the minute you go into the jungle, you go 2 miles in, that's 2 miles farther than anyone from the military or the police or what you may know as like law and order civilization would be willing to go.
That's right.
So there's no, you can do, like, it's a no man's land out there. You can do what you want, which is kind of crazy to think about.
I think that's why Paul loves it so much. In addition to everything he stands for, it's just he has complete freedom.
Right.
He is his own lawmaker where he lives.
Right.
There are no rules, you know?
But you went back, that was your spring break. You went back down there a bunch, like in your adult life too?
Yeah, so I went there then. I went to that Rio Apaporis thing where the guy said he cut my head off.
Oh, that was after.
That was later. Yeah, that was a different trip. And then I've been to the Pantanal, which is the big wetland that's in South America that's connected to the Amazon. I've been to Benito, which is where they have that clear water where we caught a bunch more big anacondas and took isotope analysis, scale samples, blah, 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 like for purpose, not just for fun, like when we were kids. Yeah. But yeah, I've spent some time down there. I love it down there.
Yeah, it's really cool that, like, you know, a lot of places could certainly use Western medicine to be able to heal normal afflictions that we have and stuff like that. But, like, Paul has a quote, we have a sap for that.
Sap for that?
Yeah,
because he uses all the tree sap, right?
Yeah, like they have amazing innovations down there as well to be able to heal, you know, common types things that we deal with that might drag us down a lot longer than it does them.
Definitely not everything, though.
Like
when we did that Apaporis one where the Far Grebel guy was, this was like 7-8 years ago now. We got back from our trip. We found the crocodilian we were looking for. It was a huge success. And when we got back to the village that we were staying in where the cocaine dealer's airstrip was, the plane couldn't come that day because we got in at like 3 o'clock in the afternoon or something. And the plane couldn't come, so they weren't going to come until the next day. And so we're like, oh, it's cool. We'll spend the night in the village. We stay in the huts. It's all good. We've done this before. And our medic was with us, our medic Josh. And this is a crazy story, but I did these, like, had to snort this powder out of a monkey bone to go up the river, blah, 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 blah. But
you can't skip over that, Forrest. Hold on. Let's get the exposition here. You had to snort powder out of a monkey bone to go up the river.
So the tribal leader at that village was a guy named Lorenzo, and he invited us into his Moloko, which is a hut in the jungle, and he was also like the shaman of the area. And he said, like, I told him we had to get his permission. This is all on our Animal Planet show, by the way, which is crazy. They let me put this on air. But he said to us, like, I said to him, like, we need to go up the river and look for the caiman, the yellow caiman, as they call it. And he's like, all right, well, if you want to go up there, it's very, very dangerous. Like, there used to be FARC up there. Like, people die up there, blah, blah, blah. There's big snakes. There's caiman. I caught a big snake on that one, too. And he's like, you have to have this jopu stuff, which jopu is like a kind of a generic term for like a mix of powders and tobaccos and things. Again, I told you where this was and what they had, so who knows what was in it, but it was green. It wasn't purified white, that's for sure. I know it had some roots ground up in there, all kinds of things. Anyway, we go around in the circle getting the stuff blown up your nose by Lorenzo, the tribal chief. And, you know, like, I'm not a big drug guy. I've never done a lot of drugs. And it goes first like my sound guy, and he's like, oh man, my brain, oh, it hurts. It feels like chlorine on the brain. I'm like, oh fuck. And I'm like getting all nervous and anxious and stuff. Then it goes to my camera guy, and he's like, and he's like doing it, you know? And then it comes to me, and I'm like about to have a fucking panic attack because I like don't want to do this. I'm not a drugs guy, but I have to do it. You know, it's like not just a when in Rome, but like if I don't do it, I'm not going to go up the river, blah, blah, blah. So I do it. Again, this is all on my Animal Planet show as a kid's show. I don't know how this
forgotten content. Let's go.
Dude, it's crazy. So I do it, but I'm like hyperventilating already. So I'm like, so I like shoot it into my brain. Anyway, and immediately I turn pale white, green, start projectile vomiting all over the ground, hands and knees, like puking up, fetal position. And Lorenzo, who's like super stern this whole time, like cracks a smile. And our translator asks him, they're like, why are you smiling? Why are you laughing? He's like, he's cleansing himself. And we're like, what do you mean? He's like, he was the one who was going to die. If he hadn't done this and had a cleanse, he would have died when he went up the river. Whoa. I'm the one who dives in the river and catches the crocodiles, who catches the snakes, who's hands-on with the vipers. You know, like I'm the lead. Like I'm the guy that does the hands-on part. And I always thought it was interesting, not that I necessarily believe in this, like the voodoo-y stuff, but of everybody that had to blow stuff up their nose, there's only one guy who's wading in the water and catching the snake, diving in and catching the crocodile. There's only one guy who's likely to die, and it's me. And I was the one that when it came to, ended up cleansing all night and throwing up all night. And Lorenzo said, that's what made me safe. And then the next day I could go.
Whoa.
So when we got back to that village a week and a half later, whatever it was, we got back and Lorenzo said, my wife's sick. Can you please look at her? And so Josh, our medic, was like, yeah, of course, like happy to look. And the expedition was over. We were just waiting for the Coke plane to take us out of the jungle. And so I'm like, Josh, just like give him all the medicine we have, like do whatever you can. Long story short, this is a village of like 20-ish people, 25-ish people. Every single woman there had a yeast infection.
Ooh.
And he said it was pretty gnarly. And so Josh like set up a little tent and like went in a hut and he treated every single woman. Doesn't seem like there was a sap for that.
Yeah. To be clear, what I'm not getting at is that it can heal all of nature's whatever.
Yeah.
But it's cool that there's some things that they can like take care of, and there's literally a tree sap that has it, but they're still disconnected from the world in the sense that they don't have access to the Western medicine that we do.
Everything, I'm going to get a little grandiose here for a second, but like everything we do as human beings is like so pendulous. It's like one side or the other. You're either Republican or Democrat, or you know, you're left or you're right, whatever. You're gray or you're blue. You know, it's like it's all so divisive.
Yes.
There's always like a happy middle ground with these things.
Of course.
And medicine, just like I said with science, it's like, yeah, you need technology, but you also don't have to follow every protocol and you have to listen to your gut. I feel the same way about medicine. It's like there probably is a sap for that, but there also isn't a sap for this. So use a little bit of Western drugs and a little bit of, jungle medicine, and you put those together.
But that would be nuance, Forrest. We can't have that in society.
Crazy. It makes so much sense. And yet it's like, it's so crazy that we think that that's like such a big, it's like, no, that stuff doesn't work. Only this works.
It's so dumb, man.
It's like, don't be fully homeopathic and don't be completely reliant on your hospital. Like just find something in the middle that works.
What was that old Bruce Lee quote where he's like, take what is good and discard what is bad, right?
It's that
like,
simple.
There's positives and negatives to everything, so try to find them and get on with life that way.
It's that simple.
Yeah, man.
And it's in everything, I feel like. Politics, religion, medicine, science. Like it's just be like rational.
I've probably, we're in episode 320 or 330 something at this point. Because I don't know when I'm putting this one out, but it'll be in that area.
Yeah.
And I've probably cited this over 125 times on my podcast before. It's not an exaggeration. But the universal law of physics says for every action, there's an equal but opposite reaction, which is to create equilibrium. And all I ever ask for in our world is that the actions are a little less violent and they're a little closer to each other. But what we seem to be doing with everything, to your point right now, is it gets farther and farther apart to where, you know, the violence to create equilibrium gets stronger and stronger.
That's right.
This is a lot easier than this.
This huge clash.
Right.
Yeah.
And there's got to be a way to kind of mix the worlds a little bit. And also, you know, you being a world traveler, going to all different cultures and whatever, let people do the things that are inherent to who they are and where they're from and what they're about. Like we should we don't want to be this homogenous society where everything's the same. I think the beauty of the world is that things are so different.
Totally.
But it also doesn't mean that you need to praise or go after every single thing that, you know, another group of people in whatever the context is does.
Yeah. The live and let live thing, it seems like it's become so hard, specifically us here in the U.S., I feel like, as a society, to just live and let live. Just let people, who cares? Like, if you want to kill yourself by only taking this medicine and not visiting a doctor, or you want to believe that, not that, don't get angry. Just let people do it. Just live and let live. It's so weird.
Have you had some situations, though, where it's difficult for you to do that? Because you're like, man, we just do this thing and you wouldn't have to deal with that.
I think so, but more for me because I'm not, and I've been criticized for this, you know, by my family and my friends and everything else. Like, I don't really care what people do. Like, there's billions of us people in the world. I don't care what you as an individual do. I don't want you to hurt people or be violent or be rude or anything like that. But like, the live and let live thing for me applies, and this is where I'm my own hypocrite, but like, it applies to people, but you have to also live and let live with the planet. You know, and like you can't, so if for instance, when I say I got criticized, when I was working in Taiwan, there's one national park on the island of Taiwan, literally one. We get there, we meet some local hunters, some local guides, and they're going to take us in to look for an extinct cat, the Formosan clouded leopard, and go look for this cat.
Formosan clouded leopard?
Yeah, so like a clouded leopard, but it only existed on this one island. And we get there, and we're 3 hours into like a 10-hour hike to get to where we're building base camp. And these guys start pulling out rifles to shoot monkeys out of the trees to eat. It's the one and only protected habitat in the entire country. There's nowhere else in the whole country. And these are our guides assigned by the government to take us in there. And I flipped out. I grabbed a guy's gun and broke it over my knee.
You broke the gun over your knee?
Yeah, I grabbed it and smashed it. I was like, what the fuck are you doing? And then we had a local scientist with us. And he's like, well, these are their native lands. They've been hunting here for a long time and blah, blah. And like, I don't have sympathy for that because the rest of the entire country has nowhere else protected. This is the one little swath of land where animals and wildlife should be allowed to be at peace with people. And, you know, that's why I said I'm my own hypocrite, because I say live and let live, but I couldn't let those guys like live and let live, because this is just the one. Go outside the park and shoot all the monkeys you want. You know, like, I don't agree with it, but I'm not going to stop you. You're within the laws. Ethically, that's up to you. But if you're in this one little place and the law literally says you cannot kill here, going under the guise of this is cultural and this is something they've been doing for a long time doesn't fly with me. It's like, we need these little pockets of protection.
Yeah, there's a line.
There's a line.
I mean, you're also from Africa, where I don't need to explain to you how rampant the problem of poaching is there.
It's terrible. And that's part of my like frustration with it, is I've grown up seeing it. Yeah.
Oh, you grew up seeing that as well?
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, we'd come up on a carcass of an elephant with its tusks cut off and stuff, where poachers have come in and shot it in the head. And, you know, those things used to happen all the time when we were kids.